Right. What if I told you that the most dangerous offensive weapon for the Atlanta Falcons isn't some high round draft pick or a splashy free agent? What if it's an undrafted rookie who just a couple of years ago was still taking snaps at quarterback? And what if I told you that the player who led all of college football in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns during the regular season didn't even hear his name called on draft day? Guys, this isn't some made up story. This is the unbelievable journey of Nick Nash, the former quarterback turned record breaking receiver who is poised to become the NFL next great underdog. What's up, Falcon family, Dirty Bird Nation? Welcome to another episode of Atlanta Falcons Fandemic, the heartbeat of the Dirty Bird Nation, where the fans never waver and the passion never dies. I'm your host, Manuel McFarland, the trusted voice for the diehard Falcon fans who live and breathe this team. Guys, this is a story about reinvention, about a player who refused to let his dream die and instead transformed himself into something nobody saw coming. It's the reason why the Atlanta Falcons may have just stumbled upon a secret weapon whose unique background makes him one of the most fascinating rookies in the entire league. Forget the draft experts. Those who watch football, know football, saw his record, saw his performance. Nick Nash is coming, and he's going to shock the NFL. Every year, hundreds of undrafted players enter the league, scrapping for a roster spot with their careers hanging by a thread. Most are just camp bodies, but every once in a while, a true player emerges from that pile with a story so wild and skills so undeniable, you have to pay attention. This year, that player is Nick Nash. You guys remember when we grabbed Nate Landman as an undrafted free agent? How he just came on the scene and just blew everybody away. Nobody had any earthly idea he was as good as he was. They knew he was a solid linebacker with the Troy Anderson build, but nobody knew that Nate Landman was the caliber player that he was. But the Falcons signed Nick Nash in April of 2025 after all 32 teams passed on him round after round. But why? His resume was stacked. The problem is his journey doesn't fit the typical mold. He's considered an older prospect, turning 26 before his rookie season even starts. He wasn't a 4-year starter at a powerhouse school. In fact, for half his college career, he wasn't even playing wide receiver. He was a quarterback, a dual threat playmaker at San Jose State, trying to win the starting job. But things outside of his control forced a change, a moment that could have ended his career. Instead, he lit the fuse for one of the most incredible transformations in recent college football history. This isn't just about a guy who got overlooked. It's about a guy who hit a dead end and decided to build a whole new road, one that led him right to the NFL doorstep. And those of you who follow college football, you know the conference that he played in. It's a tough defensive conference. Well, and skillfully as offensive wise. But you talk about a guy who went from a quarterback, and you've seen guys do this in the past, right? They go playing quarterback, turn wide receiver. But this guy exudes that. I mean, he took it, he ran with it, made it his own, and you could not have asked for a better transformation from Nick Nash. But to really get how Nick Nash became the most productive receiver in the country, you have to go back to when he was the one slinging the ball. At Woodbridge High School, he was the offensive MVP, a star quarterback who threw for over 1,700 yards and ran for over 1,200 in his senior year. Most great quarterbacks don't do that their whole career in high school. He did it in a single year. He took that talented he took that talent to San Jose State, where he spent his first few years in the quarterback room, even starting a few games and showing some serious flashes. But college football careers are rarely a straight line. The Spartans brought in transfer quarterbacks, and suddenly Nash's path to starting was blocked. This is usually where the story ends. The player transfers, fades out, or just hangs it up. Nick Nash did everything except that. He did something else. He looked at his athleticism, his 6'3" frame, and his knowledge of the game and made a true choice. He was moving to wide receiver. The potential was brutal. The switch was brutal. But he didn't hang his head. His coaches saw his potential, joking that an athlete like him just had to be on the field. But it took grueling work. He had to learn the art of route running. He had to fight physical corners, and he had to catch the ball under pressure. He had to start from scratch at a new position. And the guy who won the job, Chevon Cordero, became his new roommate and on-field partner. It didn't happen overnight. He played a limited role in 2022 while learning the position. His first full season at receiver in 2023 was solid. 48 catches, 8 touchdowns. But that was just an appetizer for us. In 2024, everything exploded. The quarterback project turned into an unstoppable monster. He didn't just have a good season. He had a historic one. 104 catches, 1,382 yards, 16 touchdowns. He won the regular season receiving triple crown, leading the nation in all 3 categories. Guys, there were only 4 other receivers in history who did that. Guys like Michael Crabtree, and it's very good company. Michael Crabtree, Devontae Smith, as one of the few who ever did it. Despite this, the Billy Nikolov Award, I guess I'm pronouncing that right, for the nation's top receiver went to Travis Hunter, which only adds to this underdog story. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit too. But in just 2 years, he went from a backup quarterback to a unanimous All-American. That's just insane work, guys. That's just insane work ethic. He didn't ask for no handout. He went out and got it. He didn't hang his head after he lost his quarterback job. He flipped it on him. So how does a player go from complete afterthought to an unstoppable force? And why did every NFL team pass on that kind of production? It all comes down to a unique skill set that makes Nick Nash a true secret weapon. And he is all that, guys. A secret weapon. First and most importantly is his brain. Nick doesn't just run routes. He reads defenses like the quarterback he used to be. Most receivers had to be taught how to spot coverages and find holes in a zone. For Nash, it's an instinct. He spent years in film room trying to learn to break down what a defense was doing. Now he uses that same knowledge against them. It's like having a spy who already has the enemy's playbook. Second are the typical physical tools. Scout might point to his 4.57 40-yard dash and say he isn't a burner. But they're missing the point. Football isn't a track meet. Nash's game is built on size and incredible ball skills. At 6'3", 195, he's a big target who thrives in contested situations. He knows how to use his body to shield defenders and attack the ball in the air, making him an instant red zone threat. His coaches and quarterback all say he's a ball hawk, even if it's in the air, and he'll go get it. Now, I'm going to go back to that 40-yard dash, right? And we heard it all through the draft process, even after Atlanta picked him up. The reason as to why Nick Nash didn't get picked up, that 4.57 40. And as everybody know, and I almost say this every video, that I am not a 40 guy. I don't weigh heavily on that 40. I weigh heavily on football speed and field IQ, on the field IQ, football IQ. If you're smart with that football speed, you're my guy, right? Now, I'm going to share a little something with you. And before I do, shout out to, hold on, let me see if I can pull this thing up. But anyway, shout out to the NFL Draft Buzz, who's going to provide this content. This is not my content. But I use NFL Draft Buzz before the draft, during the season, before the draft, during the draft, after the draft. I use these guys for all of my stats, player comparisons, bios. But guys, I'm going to share a little something with you, right? I'm going to bring this up with you. And one thing I want to point out. You see Travis Hunter here, the first person. I want you to see his 40 time. What, 4.44, right? And these are the top 3 receivers that came out of the draft this year, guys. 4.40. Look at T-Mac. 4.57. I mean 4.55. Now that didn't get held against him, but it got held against Nick Nash. Now, granted, T-Mac is a bigger guy, 6'5", 212. Right now, I think he's at 215. That last report I read, but he's a big guy, so to have that 4.5 speed is accountable. Now, Nick Nash is what, 6'3", 2 inches shorter, and maybe 5 pounds lighter, maybe. And they held it against him for running at 4.57. Look at Matthew Golden. Now, Matthew Golden was blitzing fast. You can't deny that, 4.29. But he was 6 feet, 195. Him and Nick Nash roughly about the same size. Nick Nash may have him by a few pounds. But you see, they didn't hold against T-Mac for having that 4.5 speed. And he was considered one of the best in the country. So why didn't Nick Nash get that same respect? Why he went through 6 rounds of the draft and 32 teams passed on this guy? The only Triple Crown player in the league last year. Not only that, led the league receiving touchdowns, receiving yards, and catches. So why wouldn't nobody take a chance? Why did he even go undrafted? It's baffling. It's baffling. And when you go back and watch his film, I didn't pull up any film on Nash. But when you go back and watch his film, this guy, he reminds me of a player that we used to have. Muhammad Sanu. That's exactly who he reminds me of. And this is how he's going to become a vital piece for the Falcons. This guy, well, I'll touch on that in a minute. I'll tell you how I compare these two and what it means for the Falcons here in just a second. But the third piece in this crazy ordeal is the fact of his insane learning curve. The jump Nash made from a raw project in 2022 to an All-American in 2024 is staggering. That kind of rapid improvement shows a deep commitment and a sky-high ceiling. While other rookies might be close to their peak, Nash is still figuring out how good he can truly be. Now, guys, if you're buying into this underdog story and seeing the potential of Nick Nash, do me a favor, hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe, and so you don't miss any breakdown of any hidden gems that are ready to take on the field for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Nick Nash is a perfect fit for Atlanta. A unique player who needed the right opportunity. And Nash could not have landed in a better spot than with the Atlanta Falcons. Behind Drake, the Falcons receiver room is a full question mark. I don't think so. I don't know why people are calling it a question mark. But people are second guessing Darnell Mooney still after what he did last year. People are second guessing Ray McCloud. Now, we haven't seen Chris Blair, but why are they second guessing him? They saw what he did in preseason. So there's no second guessing. People are just ready to see these players hit the field and wondering why the offense that we have are not utilizing these skill sets that are sitting on the bench playing special teams. I am one of them, but there's no question marks behind it. I'm just wondering. But there's a huge opportunity for an undrafted guy like Nick Nash to step up and steal a spot. And that brings me to the point of Ray McCloud. People think that Ray McCloud position is solidified. Now, I think the one thing that's going to save Ray McCloud is the fact that he's able to field the ball as a punt returner and kick returner. I think that's going to save him. Remember, we got rid of Avery Williams, or William Avery, whatever his name was. But, yeah, we got rid of him. So we're in need of a guy like him. And we got, what's his name, Josh Corbin. He can field the ball. He can do the same thing, return kicks. So it's somebody else we have, too. I forgot. But anyway, making things even more interesting in this is the recent shoulder injury to Darnell Mooney, who's expected to miss some time in training camp, which is a tough break for the offense, but it cracks the door open for somebody like Nick Nash to get more reps, build chemistry with the quarterback, and prove he belongs. And he's not the only one that's going to be out seeking to, gain a spot. You got Casey Washington, Chris Blair, and these guys are, just as good, and deserves the same opportunity. But when you have a guy like Nick Nash sitting in the wind, you can't help but wonder, like, at what point? Is he for now or is he for in the future? And with this playbook that we have, guys, and Zach Robinson, we can surprise the NFL. We really can. But analysts see Nash as a big slot receiver. And I love Nick's size. And Casey Washington is about the same size, 200 pounds, 6'3", 6'4", 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", somewhere around in there. But right at 200 pounds. Nice size for a slot receiver or wide out with some speed. But that big size makes it a total nightmare for any smaller nickel corners to handle. Picture him using that quarterback level IQ to carve up the middle on the field while the defenses are busy worrying about London, or busy worrying about Darnell, or busy worrying about Kyle Pitts. The Falcons' new offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson, he comes from a system that loves versatile, smart players who create mismatches. And Nash is the definition of that. All the receivers that we have can create mismatches. Now, Darnell Mooney is the typical size. I say typical size, but as a speedster, that's what's going to help him create mismatches, right? But there's some early buzz about him with some suggestion that he's a dark horse to make this roster. Now, remember, I was comparing him earlier to Mohamed Sanu. Mohamed Sanu was another guy that went from quarterback to a receiver, and he lasted pretty long in the NFL. And let's not forget about the trick plays. Nash even threw a touchdown pass last season on a gadget play, a wrinkle that the Falcons could definitely use to mess with the defenses. You remember when Mohamed Sanu came in for, I forgot what year it was, but he did something in the game that Matt Ryan didn't do. Threw a touchdown. Oh, yeah, he threw a touchdown. But that's the same versatility that Nick Nash brings to the Falcons. The Falcons have a need in an open competition in their creative coaching staff. Uh, but Nash being a undrafted free agent with his skill set, he is most likely to make this roster, guys. If he can find a spot on special teams, he will definitely make this roster. He's got the production, he's got the brains, and now the opportunity. I didn't go over all of his stats in college because it's no secret to everybody. I didn't want to bore everybody with the stats. It just amazes me, and I'm sure just like it amazes everybody else, how you have the top receiver in the country, the only Triple Crown guy in the country, one of 4 guys to ever done it as a receiver, not get drafted, not even a second look. Baffles me. But the NFL is full of improbable journeys, guys, but Nick Nash's story is in a league of his own. You just don't see a player switch from quarterback to receiver and then lead the entire country in almost every category, every major category. And a story of pure resilience, adaptability, and a football IQ you just can't teach. Every single team had a shot at him. They saw the stats. They saw the All-American honors. They got scared by his unconventional path, and their loss is the Falcons game. And we have another guy who's an undrafted free agent. He didn't come along that same path, but he got passed up because of his unconventional size, Kobe Bryant, who I'm sure would turn heads this season. But to find that content on Kobe Bryant that I did, guys, please log on to Atlanta Falcons Fandemic. Go into my videos. I did a video on him as well, highlighting the fact how he fits the Atlanta defensive scheme. And Albrecht guys are really going to have fun with this defense. I'm going to go over that in another video, but he is really going to have fun with this defense. We're going to see this guy have so much fun. You remember how, I don't know if a lot of you guys remember Buddy Ryan, right? And I know I'm supposed to be talking about Nick Nash, but I can't help but bring this up since I started talking about defenses and having fun. But Buddy Ryan used to have fun as a defensive coordinator. He had fun, and you saw it on the field. He was animated. He loved calling the plays. I mean, he didn't. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to do another video on that one, on that note. But so back to Nick Nash, guys. Don't be surprised when you see a number 80 making plays for Atlanta this fall. Don't be surprised when the undrafted rookie becomes a reliable target and a fan favorite. Nick Nash isn't just a feel-good story. He's a legitimate football player with a skill set perfectly designed to succeed in the modern NFL. He is the definition of a hidden gem, and he's about to put the league on notice. I can actually see Nick Nash coming in being the number 3 receiver. And I know a lot of you might be asking, say, Cowboy, you said, what about Casey Washington? What about Chris Blair? Where did this put them if Nick Nash comes in as the number 3 receiver? Guys, they're going to have to get in line because Nick Nash is the truth. See, we didn't hear about Casey Washington and Chris Blair like we are hearing about Nick Nash and what he's and his capabilities. Now we know the skill set of Casey Washington. We know the skill set of Chris Blair, but not on the level of Nick Nash. If that made any sense. Now I'm anxious to see Casey Washington. I've been wanting to see him since last year, and I'm sure a lot of us have. Before his injury, we saw a catch that he made, and we saw the attempted catch where he got hurt. If that ball had been like maybe an inch closer to his hand, he would have caught that. He probably would have still ended up hurt though. But Nick Nash, guys, what do you guys think Does Nick Nash have what it takes to be a real impact in this rookie year? Can he go from a undrafted free agent to a key part of the offense? Drop me your bold predictions in the comments below. And Falcons fans, this is a wrap to this update. And another phenom, I'm gonna call him a phenom, and another phenom because I called James Pierce Jr. I called him a phenom. So we have a team full of guys that can be labeled as a phenom and be comfortable doing it. And speaking of phenom, James Pierce Jr. started another fight, y'all. So much so that Raheem Morris had to pull him out and sit him on the sideline for a couple of plays. So Raheem Morris literally had to get to James Pierce Jr. But I'm gonna get on that in another story, guys. This is Nick Nash's moment. But guys, thank you guys for watching. I mean, I'm looking for Nick Nash to make a name for himself in the league. I would hate to see the fact that he gets put on the practice squad. If he goes to the practice squad, guys, somebody is going to jack him up. I mean, somebody's going to get him. We have our whole list of undrafted free agents. If any of those players hit the practice squad, they're gone. They're gone. So we need to find a place for them on this team. We really do, especially if on the defensive side of this ball. But for more Falcon update, guys, be sure to check out my other videos. I got plenty of content coming your way. I got plenty of them already posted. So take your pick, go grab you something to drink, watch the videos, hit those like buttons, hit those subscribe buttons for more in-depth content on our football team, guys. And make sure you hit that notification bell too, so you can ensure you don't miss a moment of excitement. But until then, guys, until we see each other on the next video, do as we always do, and let's rise up. Peace. All right, Fandemic family, that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in and sharing your passion for our Atlanta Falcons with us. Your energy and support are what make this community truly special. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a 2 thumbs up, leave a comment below with your thoughts, and of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our exciting content. And seriously, don't forget to hit that notification bell right next to that subscribe button so that you'll be the first to know when we drop new videos about our beloved Dirty Birds. And as always, continue to rise up, and we'll see you in the Super Bowl.